Today on our 2016 GMC Sierra 1500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Timbren Rear Suspension Enhancement System, part number TGM RCK15S. Whether you're hauling a heavy load or towing a heavy trailer, we've all experienced the vehicle sag in the back, which also causes the front end to rise up, which is never a good thing because now we're relying on the rear axle to not only support the weight of our trailer, but also the weight of our vehicle. Our Timbren Suspension Enhancements is going to provide us a lot more support and not allow the back end of the truck to come down as far, but still allow the suspension to move freely as it should. Now our Timbren springs are going to replace our factory jounce stops, and they're going to sit right above the axle. Now when it's unloaded, it's not going to affect the ride at all, but they're going to become more stiffer as the more weight we apply. And they're going to provide us up to 8,600 pounds of load leveling support. I do want to mention these aren't going to increase your payload capacity, they're just there to help and support the weight of your trailer or the load in the back of your truck. Our springs are going to work independently from each other, so if you have an off-center load, it's going to take that into account, and they're also going to help going around turns or evasive maneuvers by reducing the amount of body roll. What I like about these springs is they are made of rubber compared to others that are made of urethane, and they're going to be a little bit more elastic, giving us more of a comfortable ride. As far as installation goes, it's going to be very straightforward. We're not going to have to cut or drill into anything. We're just going to have to remove one bolt, and it's going to replace our factory bump stops. So we went ahead and put a load in our truck so we can take it out on our test course and see how our new springs are going to handle. So I'm going to take our vehicle on our test course, and we have some speed bumps set up just so we can see the axle moving and see how the suspension is going to handle it. And even with a heavy load in the back, it doesn't handle as rough as you'd think. Going over the speed bumps, it's very manageable and it's not as jarring as I thought it would be, and it's actually pretty comfortable. Now as we come up to our slalom course, you'll be able to see the axle moving and the shifting of weight going back side to side. And since the springs work independently, it's going to help compensate when we're swerving and making turns around the corner, reducing the body roll. Now we'll take our vehicle back out on our test course when there's no weight in the back so we can see how it acts and handles with no weight. And I can tell you right away that I really can't tell much of a difference even going over the bumps and going over the speed bumps here. It feels like just the factory suspension, and I can't tell that anything's back there. And even going through the turns, it's actually feeling like there's a little bit more stability because when we're turning, it is reducing that body roll, but at the same time not making a harsh ride or making it extremely stiff. It feels the same as a factory ride, and it's really not affecting anything except when we do go into these evasive maneuvers and going into really tight turns. It is helping keep it on track. Now that we've gone over some of the features, seen what it looks like and seen how they handle, let's show you how to get them installed. So this is everything that's going to be coming in your kit. You're going to have your Aeon springs, your mounting plates, and all the hardware necessary to get it in place. To begin our installation, you're going to want to lift your vehicle by the frame so the axle can hang freely. But since we have a drive-on lift, I have a pole jack underneath the back of our hitch here and lifting up so our axle can hang down. Now right above the axle, we're going to have our bump stops that are pre-installed. We're going to need to remove these, and there's going to be a nut coming from the bottom that we're going to have to remove. So you're going to take a 10mm socket and an extension coming from the bottom. We can grab a ratchet and remove that bolt. Once we have that bolt removed, we're going to remove the one on the other side as well. Now that the bolt's out, to remove your factory jounce stop, you just want to give it a twist and pull, and it should pop right out. And we'll go ahead and take the other one out as well. Now our new Aeon springs, if we look at them, we're going to have a large hole on one side. We're going to have a smaller hole with an insert on the other side. Now on the inside of there, we do have a washer that's going through, and we're going to take our bolt and come from the large hole going through the smaller one. Now to make it a little bit easier on ourselves, you want to grab a 17mm socket and an extension, and you can feed your bolt in. It may take a little bit of patience and time to line it up, and you just want to make sure you hold on to that extension so the bolt doesn't fall back out. Now before we thread our bolt into place, we're going to take the plate that comes in our kit, place it over our spring, then we're going to line up the bolt with the factory hole where our spring came out, and we're going to thread it in place. Now once we have one side in hand tight, we'll go ahead and get the other one in place. We can come back with the same 17mm socket. You're going to want to tighten up that bolt until it's nice and snug. And we'll go ahead and do that for the other side as well. Now I do want to mention we are going to have some leftover hardware. We're going to have a washer and a nut for each side. And the reason why we're not going to be using them is because we have that factory weld nut. And on the older model trucks, some of them don't have that weld nut, but they still have this access hole. So instead, you would put a washer and nut and have the bolt come up through. Now the only thing we have left to do is go ahead and lower our vehicle down and remove the jack stands. And that'll finish up our look at the Timbren Rear Suspension Enhancement System, part number TGM RCK15S on our 2016 GMC Sierra 1500.
Thanks for watching. Click the link in our description below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com. And leave us a comment if you have any questions.